Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Modern Customer Podcast. I'm your host, Blake Morgan. Today, I'm chatting with Shaida Lynch, Senior Vice President of eBusiness at Discover Financial Services. Prior to her current role, she worked in the business technology department, but Shaida has worked at Discover essentially her whole career, around 25 years. Today, we're talking about how the customer user experience on the Discover mobile app and website is so important to making customers' lives easier. Nowadays, we're always trying to find ways to take care of things like banking services online versus having to go physically into a bank. What's great about Discover is they were ranked number one in customer satisfaction among mobile credit card apps and credit card websites by J.D. Power. So they definitely have a story to share with all of us. Let's get to this episode with Shaida Lynch. This week's episode is sponsored by Calendly. Customer success teams strive to provide superior service, but customer expectations are continuously increasing. It's a challenge to efficiently schedule handoffs, onboarding calls, training sessions, renewal conversations, and more. That's why modern customer service teams use Calendly to interact with customers at key milestones. Instead of scheduling delays that create a disjointed experience, Calendly makes it easy for your team to focus on building partnerships and maintaining engagement through renewal time. That's why CI Assant Wealth saw a 323% ROI using Calendly. See how Calendly can help your team drive adoption and increase retention and growth at calendly.com/moderncustomer. Shaida, welcome to the Modern Customer Podcast. Where are you calling in from today?
Thanks, Blake. I'm in Chicago.
Oh, of course. The headquarters. So for our audience that don't know you and don't know about your work at Discover Financial Services, can you just give us the higher arch of your career and what you do at Discover today?
Sure. So Discover Financial Services is a digital bank. We are best known for our credit card, the Discover card, and our cashback bonus. But we also have a full bank as well. So deposits, personal lending, student lending, and home lending as well. I've been at Discover 23 years, actually, officially on last Friday. So I had my 23rd year anniversary.
Wow, congratulations. That's a lifetime.
I know. And if you add in, I was actually a consultant for a few years at Discover before that. So a long time I've been walking the halls of Discover. And I started my career in technology. I was actually a coder. I started coding and then, sort of moved up into the application development world at Discover and ran technology teams and huge programs and projects. And then I moved over to the business side of the house about 5 years ago to run the eBusiness organization.
All right.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's amazing though. You've been there for like 25 years or more. That, there's something about a person that's been at a company that long that it does make you really successful there because you just know the business so well. When you say e-business, what does that mean to you for our listeners?
Yeah, sure. So I had the same question. So eBusiness at Discover is I have responsibility over the mobile app. So all the strategy and product ownership, bringing all those features to life in the mobile app and all of the digital properties. I'm also responsible for all the communications with our customers. So all the emails you get and even the direct mail that comes from Discover comes from one of my teams. So we do all of the point-to-point communication with our customers.
So since you are responsible for basically the digital experience of the customer, which has become so important in the last few years, can you share with our audience what that strategy vision looked like for you as you begun to kind of sketch out what that experience is that you really wanted for your customer?
Sure. So one of the big things was we wanted to pivot away from having our application be product centric, as in, you come in, you see your card information or your bank information, and really flip the script to be more about the customer. So what would the customer expect? And when you come into the app, what do you want to see? And so we actually have changed it so that you see all of your relationships with Discover. You can manage all of your accounts with us in one sort of portal page. But then having the entire experience be the look and feel be similar, have it be really, really efficient, and just a really kind of a pleasant experience when you come into our app. And I think that's really what the big differentiator is for us.
So for our audience and for myself, let's imagine we're in the app. Traditionally, is it in the bank's best interest to, on the customer journey, keep that customer in a product so they're just buying more, and having like a dashboard isn't as lucrative for the bank?
No, I think it was just that we sort of were set up as our legacy, how we grew up, which was individual businesses, and so I think it was just the nature of how we established ourselves to begin with. And I think it was more, I think it's actually better to have the whole view for the customer. It's better for us as well, because I think it keeps customers more engaged. Plus, they can see everything that's available at Discover, and they can actually open up new relationships if they understand our entire ecosystem. So I think it's actually a win-win for both the customer and Discover to be able to be more seamless in our, in the information that we're providing our customers. Yeah.
It sounds like from what you're saying is that you had to break down some silos to just think differently about even metrics. Like, how do we know we're being successful? Because from what I understand from so many of the people I talk to in corporations, part of the challenge is they're not really incentivized to break the walls down. They're not measured according to how much they share and create a zero seamless friction experience for the customer. So is that what I'm hearing, that you really had to change the mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had to sort of explain to our company and the leaders within the company of why it was important to have that customer view, but also, what we would gain in terms of being able to provide some of our features. So something like our credit scorecard, for example. You want to be able to provide that to customers, and so no matter where they are in their journey with Discover, to educate them on, what's a credit score and how do you improve your credit score? Or we have this awesome online privacy protection product that we just launched, which, no matter who, whatever account you have with Discover, you have this ability now to remove your information from, the 10 big people search sites and out on the internet that have your age, and they have your phone number and your address and all of demographic information about you. So for free, you can sign up to have all of that deleted. And to date, we've removed 20 million records for our customers. And so these kinds of features, we can make them available to our customers no matter what their account is with Discover. So if it's a credit card or a banking account, we can make some of these features and benefits available to all of our customers.
That's amazing, because Shaida, that's exactly what I'm interested in, the experience economy. So you're providing an experience around the product that seemingly has nothing to do with the credit card, but is definitely something that your customers are thinking about. It's a very creepy notion. Everybody watching and listening have had that experience, that it's almost like, how'd you find me? How did you get my physical address? And so I think that's amazing. How did you know that customers wanted that service from you?
Right. So this is one of our feature teams that really, the idea of security and having your information out there. And I think that is very, very relevant to customers. And so I think they did a lot of research to understand if we brought something like this to the market, would customers really be interested? And what we found is they're very, very interested. This is something that I think goes to some of our pillars, which is, you want to be able to educate your customers on how to take control of their information, over their finances. And one of those is to understand kind of where is your information and who has access to it. And I think once you realize how much information is just out there for people to purchase, honestly, and now they have your age and some of your information, I think it is a little creepy, but having a service like this that deletes it on your behalf, and actually every quarter rescans, because this information, reappears. And so scanning every quarter to make sure that it's not popped up. And if it has popped up again on one of these sites, to delete it again.
So let's talk about the JD Power Award. Let's talk about how you were ranked #1 in customer sat for mobile credit card apps and credit card websites. Is that something that you aimed for, or did it just happen by accident?
Right. So, I mean, we're really proud of this because I don't know if you know about the way this works for JD Power. It's actually our own customers. So they're taking customers who use our product primarily. So they have a Discover card and it's their primary credit card. And they're asking them about their satisfaction with the mobile app and our websites. And so it's our own customers coming back and saying how satisfied they are, and really being #1 this year on both has been really, really exciting. We're very, very proud of it. It's something that we like, we like to know that our customers are happy, and it's another signal for us, another proof point that things are going well. It also has dimensions, and so we can learn a little bit more about the opportunities that we have and how we can improve. So it's definitely something, it didn't happen by accident, I would say. It's something we definitely have been focused on, but I think we use it as just one in several different ways of understanding how our customers feel about our digital experiences.
It's always great when it's something that somebody else says about you. It just, so it means a little bit more when it's not you saying, "Hey, look at me." It's customers saying, "Oh yeah, they're legitimate. It's actually really good. They do what they say they're going to do." Let's shift gears and talk about the organizational structure of the bank and who you report to, like what it looks like, because at every business that I talk to, customer experience means something different. So could you just share like what it looks like within your organization and the structure of it?
Sure. So I report into the business side, and we're actually considered to be an enterprise function. So because we support both the card and the bank side of the businesses, we sort of sit in the middle. I happen to report into the president of the bank. So he is the executive vice president of consumer banking at Discover. But 2 years before that, I reported into the president of US Cards. So really, we can report into either side because we support both of them and all of their functions. The nice thing about kind of sitting where I sit is I get to see all of the products and features and the business metrics on both the card and the bank. And the way that Discover works, sort of the card is this, the big business at Discover is the credit card business. Of course, we have the 4 banking businesses as well that have started up almost like startups at Discover. They sort of launched and grew over time at Discover, and now they've become big businesses of their own. But they've been fairly separate in our legacy, and so some of that I mentioned before, Blake, on that's how our app sort of developed as well, and why it became sort of clear that we had these different businesses. But now sitting in the middle, we can break down those barriers. And so one of the exciting parts about being where I sit is I get to do work on both sides. I work for 2 EVPs. I get to see their requirements and their objectives and goals for the year. And we can really be a great partner for them, bringing those features and benefits to life in the mobile app.
So I want to be a fly on the wall in a meeting with one of your bosses to hear when they meet with you and they ask for the metrics, what do those look like as far as customer behavior? What kinds of success metrics you're looking at?
So we're really looking for making sure that customers who come to our digital properties are able to complete whatever they wanted to complete within that session. So one of the key metrics we look at is, was there breakage? Did they come to the mobile app or one of our digital properties, try to do something, and then fall out and need to call into the call center? We have an awesome call center. It's open, they're available 24/7, and they have really great customer service. But if that wasn't the channel you chose to come to us in, then we want to be able to retain you in the channel that you came to us in. So one of our key metrics is, why did it not work? And so we want to understand if there's any friction points in our design. Can we make the user experience more efficient, less clicks, less onerous? And then how do we make you feel reassured that what you did online worked and it was great and it's
Right.
fine and complete, and you don't need to worry about it. So sometimes we have customers who, schedule a payment and everything's fine, but they just need that reassurance that that payment really has been scheduled. And so they'll call the call center to just get that reassurance, which again, I think for folks that want that, it's absolutely great. And the customer service agents are very happy to help them. But we can avoid that extra step for our customers if we can make the experience something that is very complete and reassuring. And so I think that's one of the things that I work on with our metrics are, were there any unnecessary friction that we introduced to the customer that didn't allow them to complete what they wanted to do in the mobile app?
Right.
Secondarily, we want to make sure that we have everything that you would need. So like, do we
Yeah.
have parity? Can you do everything you want to do in the mobile app or on one of our digital properties? Or do you need to call in because we actually are missing that function? So that's certainly something we want to fix and make sure that you can do everything you need to do and want to do in the channel that you choose to do it in.
Right. So much of customer experience and service is psychological.
Right.
And actually, one of the reasons I got into this is I'm so interested in sociology. And I'd be interested to know if there were any differences in behavior that you noticed just watching customer behavior through the mobile app in the last few years.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that COVID did was it made, customers go to channels that they may not have traditionally been using before. So one of the things we saw absolutely was, we were always a digital bank. So we were always open and available digitally. And for those customers who had been used to going with a different bank and going to branches, that was a big shift for them. Like they didn't have that available to them as an option anymore. So we certainly saw a lot of people continue to use our app. The other thing that we saw was that contactless payment types also went through the roof. People who had not felt comfortable using our digital wallets or contactless cards were now accepting and actually adopting those technologies at a much higher pace and feeling more comfortable and secure. I think their risk scorecard in their head had shifted a little bit, and they found it to be worth trying, and it felt more comfortable using those digital wallets. And so we saw a lot of that shift of spend into the wallets. And luckily, of course, we were ready and available in all of the wallets. So for us, it was just interesting to see that shift in traffic. And that sort of brings up another thing, Blake, that I would say is, from a technology perspective, and since I kind of have a love of technology, having come from there, one of the things I would say is you need to sort of be ready when customers are ready to adopt the technology, but not necessarily push them into that if they're not feeling comfortable. So you sort of have to anticipate and be, have tested and worked on things so that when customers are ready for you, you're ready for them as well and you can meet their need. But I think pushing customers into something they don't feel comfortable with is not really going to be successful and doesn't really build the trust that you really want to build with your customers.
So I understand that perfectly, but I would just love a visual. Like, what would it look like to push a customer into an experience? They're like, I'm not comfortable with this. Could you give us an example?
Sure. I think one of the examples, well, and so again, we don't really do this pushing, but I think
Right.
one of the examples of a technology that we had tested into was sort of voice, the Alexa skills. One of the things we'd seen, in retail, people were very comfortable using the skill. There was a lot of commercials about, ordering your socks through Alexa or having music play through Alexa. And but we found that folks are really not very comfortable doing their financial services through that channel. It just wasn't something that, even though we were ready for it and experimenting and testing, it really just wasn't something that our customers were comfortable with. And so we just, sort of left it at that, and we kind of parked it for now. And when customers are ready, we'll be ready as well. But I think that was one good example of just voice banking. I think just hadn't really gotten to where maturity that we needed for it to be something that we wanted to provide for our customers.
Just curious, how did you know? Did you do user testing, customer surveys?
Yeah, so we do a lot of usability testing and we do put things with our customers. But in this case, we had actually tested it. We had put out, small skill out into Alexa to see if anybody would sort of go that route. And we had, there's always a few people who are willing to experiment and try new things. And so there were folks that were trying it, but we really just didn't have the uptake on people kind of organically going there. And so we realized that it was just not something that people were ready for yet. But at the same time, we have things that we've put out into the mobile app where, like we said, the wallets is one, or this online privacy protection. Some of these things, again, we experiment with them, we start with them, we bring them out into market, and then you see that sometimes there's a catalyst, something happens, and then customers are all in, and they just want to, have that feature. And luckily, we're ready for them.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. So before we have some fun with the rapid fire, I have one more question for you, Shaida. Looking at the future, there's so many trends. Financial services is constantly being disrupted, but the banks still hold all the power. Curious, what are some of the top trends that you're paying attention to as we look at the horizon of the future of banking?
Right. So, we're always looking out for, more secure ways of doing business and moving money. So I think that's one thing that we have our eye out on. There's a lot of talk about cryptocurrencies and other things, and I think we will keep watching that and seeing how that plays out. There are a lot of, buy now, pay later. There are a lot of other kind of financial instruments that are out there, or services. And again, I think we're watching and exploring those as well as we look to see what's in our future. But really right now we're focused on how do we provide control for our customers in terms of transparency of data, education, of financial education is another big topic that we've seen. I know I have Gen Z children who, it's embarrassing to say, I have 25 years in financial services. And when they started doing their own banking and credit card use, I realized that we had not done a great job of educating them on how to do that, and how to use a credit card and pay your bill on time, and what a credit score was. So I think opportunities to educate our customers on how to be in control of their finances, how to budget. And so we have tools that they can see where their money is going. I think these are all going to be things that will continue to be very important to customers, and we'll be keeping an eye out on them.
So when you say more secure ways to move money around, is that blockchain that I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think blockchain is just the technology behind a lot of different things that you can use blockchain for. So yes, blockchain is a technology that we're all always aware of and keeping an eye on. But again, some of these things, so crypto is built on blockchain, but there are other, ways of moving money around. And I think what's happened is, and there's been a lot in the news, is that people feel, again, it's another area where people feel a little bit insecure about, is their money going to the right person, to the right place? And so I think we will be looking at ways of reassuring customers, whether that's with new technology or just another product or another way of ensuring that customers feel comfortable transacting online.
You know what's so interesting? I just have to mention before we go to rapid fire is there's also, to play devil's advocate, an issue when it's too secure. Like now I've noticed there's so much second factor verification, where they'll say, I'm just going to send you a text. Well, AT&T, who I really like, they've actually just blocked like every text. So I can no longer do that two-factor authentication at all. It's like in the last week. So on the one hand, I'm getting less spam, less like weird phone calls and texts. On the other hand, I have a team of freelancers. They can't get into my email and all the things because they're it's too secure.
Yeah. Right.
And AT&T isn't paying attention to how I use, that I'm a small business owner. Sometimes I have people logging into my stuff. So that is also, I think, at play here too.
Absolutely. So that's the sort of balance, right? You want it to be secure and have people understand that and feel comfortable using your tools and your technology. But at the same time, you don't want it to be onerous and add friction to their experience, so then they don't want to use it. So, it's very easy to switch at this point. If something, so if you get annoyed enough, like you might switch your company. But we don't want you to do that, right? So I think it's a balance of how do you do things behind the scenes? How do you ensure that the transaction is going to be secure through other tools versus having to put that friction on customers and disrupting their lives, or really in your case, they just don't understand their customer. They're not understanding how you use these tools and what you might need. And so that personalization and understanding your customer is also at play here.
All right. So we've had a very serious conversation about customer experience. I want to have a little bit of a lighthearted, tie the bow on the conversation with some rapid fire. Are you ready to take some quick questions?
I am.
All right, Shaida, what did you eat for breakfast today?
I had oatmeal with sour cherries.
Oh, awesome. What is your idea of perfect happiness?
A night home with my kids at home. Being an empty nester doesn't happen very often anymore. So having everyone at home, quiet evening watching a movie, that's bliss.
What is one mental health strategy for managing hard days?
Get outside and walk. No matter what happens, fresh air really changes your perspective.
I love that. What is your favorite type of vacation?
It's got to be on a beach with a book and just peaceful.
All right. If you could have lunch with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
Desmond Tutu. I just think he's an amazing person, persevered through an amazing hardship, and was still such a joyful person. I would just love to talk to him.
If you had to describe your outlook in one quick motto, what would it be?
Just keep trying. Just keep saying yes.
I love that. Well, this has been really, really fun, Shaida. If people want to learn more about you or Discover, do you have any websites to direct them to?
They can always, find me personally on LinkedIn. But of course, Discover has our website, and you can learn a lot more about us at discover.com.
All right, Shaida, this has been so fun. And I really appreciate you being here on The Modern Customer. All of you have been tuning into The Modern Customer podcast. If you have a minute, leave me a quick review on iTunes so more people will find this growing show. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.